Okay, let's talk about one of the most interesting birds out there, the silky chicken. It's kind of like a living paradox, a real genetic marvel. I mean, it's just this collection of weird and wonderful traits that make it totally unique in any flock.
So the first thing you notice, right, is that incredible plumage. It honestly looks more like fur than feathers, and there's a reason for that. The feathers are missing these tiny little hooks, they're called barbisoles, that usually zip a feather together. Without them, you get this super soft, fluffy look, which is of course how they got the name Silkie.
But, that fluff is really just scratching the surface. The Silkie is a total genetic puzzle. So, what's really going on with this chicken? What kind of secrets are hiding under all that fluff?
All right, here's the first big reveal. If you were to look underneath all that fluff, you'd find a bird that is almost completely black. I'm not kidding. Black skin, black muscles, even black bones. This crazy hyperpigmentation has a name. It's called fibromelanosis.
And the weirdness doesn't stop there. Just check out its feet. Most chickens, they have 4 toes, right? Well, the Silkie has 5. That's a trait called polydactyly. So let's recap. We've got fur-like feathers, black everything, and an extra toe. But here's the thing. All this genetic uniqueness, it comes with a catch.
Yup, it turns out that every single one of these cool, defining features carries a hidden risk. The very things that make a Silkie so special are also what make it so fragile. And it all starts with what's probably its cutest feature, that little poof of feathers on its head, its crest. Looks totally harmless, doesn't it?
Well, that crest doesn't just sit there. It's actually supported by something called a vaulted skull. It's this weird little quirk in its anatomy that helps create that poof shape. But, and this is a big but, it also makes the Silkie way more vulnerable to a really serious condition called hydrocephalus. You've probably heard of it as water on the brain.
So if you're a Silkie owner, this means you've got to be on the lookout for some pretty specific and, frankly, troubling signs. We're talking about things like the head always tilting to one side, stumbling around like they're dizzy, maybe even seizures or just being super weak. It's a direct trade-off for breeding them to get that specific, cute look.
And the problems don't even stop there. Remember those fluffy, hookless feathers we love? Well, they're the perfect hiding spot for lice and mites, which makes it incredibly hard to see if there's an infestation. And that cute crest? It's great at trapping moisture and gunk right up by the face, which can lead to a higher risk of nasty respiratory infections.
So, what is going on at the genetic level to make all this happen? Let's dive in and decode the DNA behind this whole spectacle.
Okay, first up, that all-black tissue. The trait is called fibromelanosis, and the cause is pretty fascinating. So when a chicken is just an embryo, these little pigment-producing cells called melanoblasts, they have to travel to where they're supposed to go. In most chickens, it's a nice, orderly process. But in Silkies, it's chaos.
So in a normal chicken embryo, these pigment cells just follow one single path, kind of like they're staying in their lane on the highway along the back. But in a Silkie embryo, the cells just break all the rules. They jump the median and invade a whole other pathway, which lets them spread through the entire body, basically painting everything black as they go.
Okay, so that explains the color. But what about the toes? How in the world does a chicken get a 5th toe?
Believe it or not, the answer is in a gene with a pretty awesome name, the sonic hedgehog gene. No, really. And it's a super important gene that basically gives the embryo instructions on how to build its limbs. Scientists figured this out by comparing the genetic code of lots of different chickens, and they were able to pinpoint the exact spot that was different.
And what they found was, well, it was shockingly simple. It really all comes down to a single genetic typo. Think of it like a spelling mistake in the instruction manual. Just one letter, one single letter in the wrong place. And that tiny little error is enough to send a brand new message to the developing foot that says, hey, build an extra digit right here.
And if you're looking for the smoking gun, the absolute proof, this is it. This is what scientists saw when they scanned the entire chicken genome. You see that giant spike right there on chromosome 2? That is the unmistakable genetic signal for that extra toe. It's like the data is literally screaming, hey, the answer is right here.
So let's pull this all together. What the Silkie really shows us is the power and, yeah, the potential danger of selective breeding. It's a perfect example. It really is a breed apart.
All right, so quick recap. That fluff, it comes from a recessive gene. The black skin, that's a dominant gene called fibromelanosis. That extra toe, it's all thanks to a single mutation.
And that cute crest, it's tied directly to that vulnerable, vaulted skull.
And this really gets us to the heart of it all. The main takeaway here is that every single trait we find so fascinating about the Silkie is tied directly to a specific piece of its genetic code. And sometimes that code is problematic. The beauty and the burden, they're literally written in the very same DNA.
And that's why knowing this stuff is so important. There's a great quote from Esther at the Fat Hen blog that really hits this home. She says that understanding these common ailments is what helps us all become better keepers. It's all about appreciating the animal for exactly what it is, flaws, vulnerabilities, and all.
Which kind of leaves us with one last big question to chew on. When we create and maintain breeds like the Silkie, what are we really doing? Are we basically curators of a living genetic art form? Or is our main job to be guardians of that animal's well-being? It's a tough one, and definitely something to think about.